Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for coming today. I'll just touch it to my head, okay? It showers of flowers. Thank you for coming to the second part of the slide presentation, summary overview of the introduction to the Bhagavad-Gita. And because often we have different groups, Krishna seems to arrange different personalities each day. So we'll share with you, as a recap also for those who were here yesterday, how this presentation is a little bit different from the ones we customarily do. This one has a little bit of an added feature. We have the little book for you as well as a simplified handout. And the purpose is the book is to, it's the summary, and it's brilliantly presented by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, so that people have in just one small little handout, they have the essence of the Bhagavad-Gita, and essentially the essence of the whole philosophy. It's all in one little book. So the purpose of giving you not only the handout today, but the little book is yesterday, it's your little exercise book. It's not just another book, but we use this book to show you how to get the most out of a multi-paragraph commentary. And this is quite long. This is quite long, but it covers everything. I think we won't have the sound because I think explaining things is a little better without it. Okay? So if we take a look at our pamphlet first, and I will also show the page on the screen for you, if you take this out. Because what we're doing is explaining, again, as a recap, because some people are here, but we often have new faces. So as a recap, and also we didn't have the video yesterday, because sometimes people follow these videos if they want to do a systematic study. Okay. So in your packet, you will see here, of course, the cover, right? And in the cover, we have here that this is a study resource material. And we emphasize the word study because even though it tends to scare people, maybe they had not such a happy time in school, but Prabhupada does stress study my books scrutinizingly. And we do emphasize that reading and study are of two different categories, right? Reading is perhaps a little less active, but study is very active, and it involves using the intelligence. And Prabhupada says, and Krishna says, one who studies this book, this conversation, worships me by his intelligence. So you are here actually performing a type of worship. So in the inside, on the back of the cover, and you can see it also on the screen, he will show you that first side, we have a 5-step approach for how a writer goes about doing a paragraph. He's trained. He's trained. If he takes process writing, he knows I have to do certain things. Just as if I make a cookie, I have to start with some flour. I have to add butter. I have to add sweetener of some sort, or it doesn't constitute what is defined as a cookie. So a paragraph also has certain requirements. And an accomplished writer will know that, and he will follow that recipe. And the wise student will be attuned to that. He will look, because then he gets full benefit. If he's just reading and it hasn't been pointed out, he may not detect it. Understand? So we're here to help you become wise readers, not just passive readers. And, beg your pardon? I think Mataji has packets for you. Yes. The Matajis back there are so kind. They'll give you not only your exam board and your handout, but they give you a book that's yours to keep. And we'll do a paragraph for samples today. We'll mark one. And you have the book to mark, according to the study guide, all of the paragraphs in this introduction. It's an excellent guide for preachers. Excellent guide. This little booklet just is priceless, actually. So step 1, and this is exactly the process I had to follow to make the slides, is we count the number of paragraphs we're faced with, and we number them in the margin, or at least at the end of the last sentence. Okay? So I had to go through the book. Mine is marked. Okay? Normally I won't write in books, but I took this as my study exercise. So I count out, what's my scope? How much do I have to deal with here? And with some variation, I came up with about 74 paragraphs. 8 of which constitute the Gita Mahatmya, which we will share at the end. We'll recite through that, because the Gita Mahatmya is wonderful. It gives you the benefits in a nutshell of study and reading the Bhagavad-Gita. The second step, number 2, is we highlight or underline. Sometimes people have highlighters in school, right? Yellow markers, and they can highlight something. But if you don't have a highlighter, you can underline. You underline the first sentence, because a wise student reads that first. He knows the writer has to make a general statement in the first thing. He's making his case, and he has to state what is his case. Then the third step is we go to the end of the paragraph. We jump. And we highlight or underline the final statement, because that is the conclusion to his arguments. He makes a statement. He's like a lawyer. He has to have a minimum of 3 examples if it's multi-paragraph. Usually if it's 1 paragraph, he can have up to 8 examples. And I mean, these are just, I'm not saying these are hard and fast rules, but this is general formula writing. And there's formulas, like cookies. He will have at least 3, minimum, 3 points that are called either extensions, elaborations, examples. He has to prove what he has said. And then the final statement wraps it all up with a conclusion, an opinion, or sometimes, depending on the strength of the argument or need, what we call the persuasive call for action. Therefore you must. There you should. And Krishna does that too in the Bhagavad-Gita. I declare this boldly, right? Or this is my final opinion. You'll make it very clear. And you can, at that point, note that we're moving on to the next topic, and there'll be transitions there also. A good writer uses transitional phrases. He doesn't just jump, right? He's smooth. And he'll take 1 word from a paragraph and repeat it in the next one, and that becomes your link. Just like online, you see this is the link, right? If I want to go some information, I press this link code, and this will take me to another destination. So what we have here on our study guide, we have 74 link words. These link us from one topic to the next. So a very wise reader looks for that, and he sees, he gets into the skill of the writer. And of course, Prabhupada's being directed by Krishna himself. We couldn't go much higher. And of course, Prabhupada's an accomplished writer beyond words, right? So we'll see the genius of Prabhupada on all levels here. Then after he, you'll see what we call circle the title word. We can call it title word. We can call it the link word. In education, we use words like anchor. I anchor my understanding to this word. Sometimes we use the word prompt word or trigger word. This should help me pull to my surface memory what I want to say, what I want to remember. But if you give people too much, then they can't handle all that. But you give them 1 word. You'll find this in the Shastras. For instance, a mantra will have a bij word. Everybody's heard that, right? It's the seed. And then the next thing will be the sutra, Vedanta Sutra. And then the next thing will be one of the basic slokas. Bhagavad-Gita is based on 4, the Chatra Shloki. Bhagavatam expands from bij to sutra to 4 essential slokas. From that, the expansion continues into the size of the treatise. 18,000 verses in the Bhagavatam, 700 slokas in the Gita. So you see that same unraveling process, expanding process exists in our Vedic philosophy. So it's what even any writer customarily, systematically understands. And you as wise students of Bhagavad-Gita, once you're apprised of that, you'll find that when you see a large amount of text, you won't just dismiss it or say, I'll do it later, or I don't think I can manage this. You have a skill now by which you can approach it and get much more from your time. Does everybody understand the process now? Okay, and it does work. You can agree with that, Devananda Pandit? Those people who lecture, that's how they do it. And they'll say, now if we go through this paragraph, we'll notice these points. So you want to go from the layman's understanding to the writer's position. Okay, so that's what we're doing here for you today. Now, yesterday, that's the first step of study. I determine the scope, I number it, I know how big my project is, I do my underlining, and I can go through systematically. Actually, you can do it all. What I tend to do when I have mass production, I work everything on the same level. I'll number all the things first, then I'll go through and underline all the first sentences first, and then I'll go back and I'll look for and underline the last ones and see what seems to be the conclusion here. What is the writer trying to get us to understand? And then I'll try to circle. I'll look for the one word that I think is the bij. What's the seed? What's the seed of this thought? So we're doing that today. This is an examination of that sort. So that you'll see this is a little different because normally in our presentations we're dealing with fixed slokas, and we do a slide for each sloka, giving the Sanskrit, giving the English, and we have a picture. Now the importance of the picture is that it's worth 1,000 words. That's a famous saying, and it also helps us beyond belief. People are also accustomed to pictures in the media now. It's everywhere. Wherever you walk, you see billboards. If you have devices, you see pictures. You have cell phones now. Cell phones are not just telephone numbers. In the old days, we just had telephones with numbers. Now your telephone can do everything except make a chapati, right? It may do that someday. Who knows? All right, so actually I've even seen some software where they can take a picture of a plant that you don't know, and the picture will identify the plant for you. It's getting really technical, really technical. So you understand the whole society is moving rapidly in technology, and people are accustomed to it, and then they tend to expect it. So Prabhupada's genius was he always kept up with the times. He knew time, place, circumstances. So we, as trying to follow in his footsteps, are trying to keep the philosophy going, at the same time adjust to the transitions going on in society, because it's very, very fast, it's very rapid, and in many cases deteriorating very rapidly. So our prayer is that as fast as it deteriorates, can we try to give some help out there to people and take benefit ourselves. So everybody follow so far? Okay. So we have some faces from yesterday, and we have some faces that are new. So again, even any presentation has to recap, because we always have to bring from a previous day. We've had 24 hours, bring it all back to the surface to get us on board again. So we all have gone over how a writer thinks and how a smart reader will read, and we go beyond that study. And of course, here you have the quote, that he who studies this sacred conversation worships me by his intelligence. And we'll find in one of our 7 topics that this is the way, by study and reading the Vedic literatures, this is the way the mind becomes fixed on Krishna. It won't work just by trying to remember him. Remembrance requires content. It takes content to remember something. And just staring at a picture, or just even they're staring at the deities after a while, right? But if you have content, you can see with much more depth, right? You look through a microscope, you see a red squiggle. But if you're a scientist, you'll say, oh, that's an amoeba of this nature. You'll have recognition, and you'll be able to sustain your recall. Everybody okay with that? Yeah. Content is necessary. And the scriptures have been provided, because that comes up in this section we're going to zero in on. It comes up that Krishna has provided these literatures to help us fix our minds. We are all here with one goal. All of us sitting here, no matter what your gender, age, karmic situation. We are here to prepare ourselves for remembering Krishna at the moment of death. That's it. Boils down to that. Pretty simple, pretty scary. Everything we do has to be oriented towards that goal. And constant remembrance, while we're able and alive and to some degree well, is the necessary preparation for the final exam. None of us here will escape taking it. It's not a pleasant topic, but it's a real one, and devotees at least try to face it. We try to face it. And the perfection of life is to remember Krishna at the moment of death. That's in the Bhagavatam, Canto 2. So that's the perfection of life, remembering Krishna. And that takes practice, and it takes a scientific approach of understanding, and it takes serious study of the Bhagavatam, of the Gita, to help us do that. So we're all here for serious business. You know, if you had, let's just give the analogy of a medical problem. And if you go to a doctor, and let's say the medical problem is severe, and you'll take his instructions more seriously, right? If he tells you you have something very serious, you won't just brush it off. You don't say, oh, it's just a head cold or something like that. It'll go away. And no, he's giving you, and then you have to take it seriously. So the serious student and sincere, this person is, he has a better chance of thinking of Krishna at death. He has a better chance. And we're all here. We don't know when. We don't know how. We don't know if we'll have any help. We don't know what our karma has in store for us. But we have to try. And I think Krishna will have to see how hard we try. That's all we can do. Nothing's in our hands, right? Nothing. Yeah. Afterwards, okay?
Because actually I cannot follow this.
Okay.
Was it yesterday also?
Yeah, we're going over that, yeah. Okay.
You told me the temple was closed all day.
Yeah, whatever. Usually we reserve questions for the end. It's pretty fair. Okay. Now, we did one practice thing yesterday, and we'll go over it again for the benefit of those who are new. Usually we require that sense of cooperation in a facilitation. Just as spiritual life means I cooperate, material life means I compete. So if I'm ahead of somebody, I'm grateful for that. But no, if we're devotees, we cooperate. We try to help each other. So let us take a look at on the screen of the sample paragraph, and we'll do it again in your little book. Some of you did it yesterday. So if you weren't here, open up your little book and quickly do the first argument. Okay? You show the picture on the screen, the book, the page. There's a summary paragraph above. The one that's marked, that one, yeah. I did it in color, all right? Now, can you all find the first paragraph in your book? Everybody follow it again? And if you had done it yesterday, just open it again and please look. And perhaps maybe yesterday you didn't take it, so that seriously, but mark it today. Everybody with us? Please turn to your neighbor and help. I used to teach in the Gurukula, and one thing I found was essential was I would make study buddies. Children are often really in need of help, and sometimes some are faster or slower than others. So I would take a student that was quite adept, and I would pair him up with a student that needed more assistance, and that gave one a sense of responsibility and the other one a sense of appreciation. So if you don't understand what has to be done, turn to someone who's done it. And turn to someone who doesn't look as though he's doing it. And say, hey, Prabhu, look at this. Encourage people. Because sometimes people come to groups and they're used to being passive. But they'll get a little more if you encourage them. Well, if you're active, you'll be happier. Right? People who are more active, they're more happy. People who are passive, they're just a little bit... There's no life there. And if you're active, you'll be active enough to preach and share. And that's what the whole Parampara mission's about. We're part of a Parampara. Krishna and Prabhupada have given us everything, and we do have a debt to them. We do have a debt. Okay? All right, so now you become a study buddy with your neighbor. And it usually, I found again, especially dealing with children, that the minute they're not engaged, they're mischievous. Adults won't do that. They're usually more polite. But if you don't engage them properly, they'll cause trouble, right? You've got some classroom teachers back there. So by engaging people, you create a spirit of cooperation. That's important. In study, too. Usually in the Sanskrit tradition, we study in twos, never by yourself. Because by yourself, who's to assess you if you're doing well or not? There's nobody there, just you. So in Sanskrit, what do they say? Eat alone, study by twos, travel in threes. Yeah, there's slokas for all this. The wisdom of the wise. All right, so let's take a look at how we do this. So again, look at yours if you had done it yesterday. If you haven't, if you don't, please look at the first sentence in which Prabhupada starts with, now this is an important paragraph because this is a thematic paragraph. It introduces the whole text. So it's a little bit more, what shall I say, comprehensive. So the first sentence is Bhagavad-Gita, right? And you underline that. It identifies the book. Is known as, what's it known as? Gita-upanishad, right? Every once in a while I'll stop and check to see if everybody's on board with us. It's known as the Gita-upanishad. And notice the word is Upanishads. So it's the essence. It's one of the most important Upanishads. So underline that. Now go all the way to the bottom. And let's take a look at the last sentence. Because I didn't take the last sentence and change that here because I used color changes. I couldn't mark on the computer. I underlined, but it didn't look so good. So I changed the color for you. I went up a little bit, but you can see here, if you take the last sentence, it's quite lengthy. And it says, of course, in America, there are so many editions of Bhagavad-Gita, but as far as I have seen, not only in America, but also in India, right? India is the land of the Bhagavad-Gita. None of them can strictly be said to be, and what's the word we're looking for here? What's the bij word? Yeah, authoritative. That's the bij. Because what he's doing here, he's very cleverly verifying the necessity of another edition. That's what he's doing. And his edition, he's pointing out, is unique. Amongst all of the editions, this edition is unique. Now you need to understand this as devotees, because when you're going to deal with the public, why do I need another Bhagavad Gita? I have one. Or I have this one at home. Or do you have this one at home? This one's different. Why is it different? So you have to understand how, because, okay, you're here, you're the choir, we're preaching to the choir, but you're out there, you're not preaching to the choir. You're preaching to people, even if they are favorable to God, if they have a Bhagavad Gita, they may not know that much. And they may be outright atheists. You don't know. Now, you have to be a Paramahansa to preach to an atheist, but at least those people that are marginal, you can help them. So you have to know how to help them. So here, he says, in my opinion, they have not touched the spirit. Have you noticed that word? Circle that word also. Spirit. Because remember, we told you the writer is very clever. Start to notice this in slokas. One word and it will be repeated in the next. It's the bridge. It's not just chop, chop, chop. If any of you have had a car that's a stick shift, if you go from first to second gear and you're not adept, it's like the car's jerking. A good rider will have a smooth shift. You won't go jerking like that. So the rider does that. He has flow. So we get units, but we get links which create flow. So the key word is authoritative. This book is authoritative, and now he has to prove it. Right? Because this whole paragraph now has to be verified. He's made a statement, it's pretty bold, a lot of additions, but none of them, and he's polite. He uses the word strictly. This is a very polite one, strictly. He could call them rascals too, right? He could go from polite to quite, depending on the audience, probably can be very heavy, and can be a perfect gentleman. Perfect gentleman. He knows how to deal with the audience. Now, circle the word authoritative, and in the margin, write the number 1 and put a circle around it, because you'll notice it in the margin. Here I couldn't do that, but I put the 1 in orange at the end. This means this is my opening paragraph, and this is what Prabhupada is going to do. He, in 74 paragraphs, is going to convince us that this book is necessary, and that is unique, and it's authoritative. Okay? And that's what you as preachers have to convince people. Right? Okay? Now, the next thing you do is just take a look. Now, because I'm going to do all of these, we're going to look at slides as a recap. Take the word spirit and go to the next paragraph. What do you see? What do you see? The word spirit. Yeah. You see what he did? He made the little bridge. You got to get across the river. Watch that. He's smart. Now, we want to know, what's the spirit? Now what does he do? He gives us an analogy. Because people need help. They don't, too much philosophy, they can't do it. So what's the analogy he makes? Medicine. Medicine. If you go to a doctor or you go to the pharmacy and you take the medicine according to the label, you're safe, or the doctor's prescription. What if you decide, oh, I think I'll take 20 pills to get it over with? You're over with for sure. You may just kill yourself. Spiritual life is a spiritual rectification. Temples are spiritual hospitals. Everybody who comes to the temple is admitting himself into the hospital. There are a lot of people out there who are walking around who are spiritually sick and don't know it. You can take the material example. There are hundreds of people walking around with diabetes and they don't know it. Some figured it out, some didn't care. Some figured it out, went to a doctor. Some people went to a doctor, didn't follow the prescription. Some people went to the doctor, followed the prescription, and dealt with it. Those of you who are sitting here have done the same spiritually. You figured out life was a problem. You figured out you wanted to solve it. You figured out you didn't know how. You figured out I had to have help that knew what he was saying, and I'm trying to do what he said. You have a chance. You have a chance. It's the same thing. So Prabhupada uses that analogy right away. Because everybody, who in this world does not have a physical problem? Anybody here? Impossible. You have to. I know some healthy people, but they're unique. Almost everybody here has had some kind of physical problem. Colds, health, flu, you name it. It gets worse as you get older. So right away he gives an analogy. We're trying to show you how to crack the code. Everybody find this important? He uses an analogy, and then, who's the doctor? Who's the doctor? Krishna. Krishna is the doctor. He speaks the Gita. He's the doctor. He's going to tell us what you have to do. So then the next argument is, why should I believe him? Right? Why should I believe Krishna? Who's he? Well, he's God. Who says? The Acharyas, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Shankaracharya. He proves it. Do you understand what he's doing? Because he anticipates what's going to be the next argument in the mind of the reader. He anticipates it, and he's got the answer ready for you. You see what he's doing? So in the second paragraph, he establishes that the speaker of the Bhagavad-Gita is the doctor. He's giving us the prescription. Therefore, you should follow it according to his instructions. What do all the other Gitas do? Their own interpretation. Have you had friends? I've had this happen because I've had periods of a lot of illnesses. I've got a lot of good friends. And one person will tell you, oh, you try this. And another person will tell you, you try that. And you try that. And you try that. And I finally had to just go on Google and try to figure out, wait a minute, this is what's happening to my body and I better do what it says. You know what I mean? A friend may be well-wishing, but it may not be your answer. And some of these writers, they're not even well-wishers. They're just trying to market their own interpretations. That's very dangerous, right? Very dangerous. Even medically, they tell you, check with your doctor before you take this pill. Check with your doctor before you eat this food, right? So now you have to tell people, well, look, this is the speaker. We should do it according to him. Well, someone says, but where is Krishna now? He left 5,000 years ago. So the next question is, this comes down to us through the what? Parampara, the disciplic succession. Do you see how logically he builds his case? He's got his arguments perfectly in line, right? Everybody agree? So you have to just see now how this unfolds brilliantly. And you can tell that, now this was for yourself, but you're going to deal with these same questions. You're going to have, and you're gonna, here's the answer, folks. It's all in this book. Actually, this little introduction. Almost everything you need to know for every question is in that little book, if you just know how to analyze it and how to follow it. Everybody agree, you see? It's brilliant. You can give people the copies. Here, try this book. You know, the recipe's here. Okay, then after that, he chooses someone to be the beginning of the revival of the parampara, and he chooses Arjuna. Well, why did he choose Arjuna? Right? That's the next question. Why is he so special? He's a friend, he's a relative by blood ties, marriage ties. Yeah, why him? Why not somebody else? And he's speaking it on a battlefield just before a war. What is all this? Right? And who else could hear it anyway? Well, luckily, the way it's arranged, Sanjaya hears it, because out in the middle of the battlefield, nobody's going to hear it. So, but Sanjaya hears it, so he's recording it for our benefit, right? It's brilliantly laid out. So what's so special about Arjuna? So now we hear, why is Arjuna special? Arjuna's a devotee in a relationship with Krishna. And that's the way the Bhagavad, and he's also a friend. And that's his specific relationship. And because he has the qualities that it takes to understand Bhagavad-Gita, he has a submissive spirit. He's not challenging. You know, if somebody comes in here and starts challenging me right now to say, well, why do you think you know what you're doing? And I will right away, it puts you on the defensive. And Prabhupada used to say, he says, I'm not perfect, but what I'm saying is perfect. I'm certainly imperfect. I wouldn't have a material body if I were. But I know that whatever Prabhupada and whatever Krishna are saying, it's perfect. So he chooses someone who has that situation. So then that constitutes three things. Why is this book special? Krishna is God, and Arjuna is the proper recipient for our benefit. Because then the next question is, okay, you told me all that, so what? Well, you need help. Someone asked Vaisheshika Prabhu one time, what does the Mahamantra mean? His answer was, I need help. If a person doesn't know he needs help, he's not a candidate for Bhagavad-Gita. Give him some, you know, tell him, go back to the material world and take a few more thrashings until you wake up to the reality, you know. So everybody follow how things unfold? All right. So this little book is meant for you to do that with the help of this thing. Some night, you know, if it's still cold, sit by the heater, bundle yourself up, get your pencil out, look through the list, number your paragraphs. If you're a speaker, you can mark your little book. Even those of you, I know we have a few very qualified speakers sitting here. You can number your paragraphs, and you can go through it, and you can direct people right away. Oh, your answer is paragraph number 55. Right? And we'll give you slides, too. In slide 55, you'll see the picture to help you trigger the understanding. So everybody see what we're doing today? This is sort of like a preacher training camp. Get you all equipped to go out to battle. All right. And even if you don't go out and distribute books, it'll help you. Right? When Prabhupada was given the instruction by Bhaktisiddhanta, the first thing he said, preach in the English language. He said, you'll be benefited, and you'll benefit others. So you have to feel you're being benefited, to feel the impetus to help someone else. Have you ever found that you had something wonderful happen to you? Or you got something that was really good? Some people once gave me some cookies that were really yummy, and I say, oh, I wanted to share them with somebody else. I didn't take them. I said, here, I know these are really good cookies, and you're going to get some at the end. I know these are good cookies. Okay? So this is how Prabhupada goes about it. He's a very wise preacher, and become a wise preacher yourself, and a wise student. All right, now what we're going to do is see the topics. We'll go over those briefly before we go over the slokas that we need to focus on today, because we're focusing on the ones we didn't do yesterday. But we'll quickly run through the bij words of the other ones for those who are not here. And also for the video crowd, because we do have people who follow these online on video. All right, let's take a look at the We have 7 topics, by the way. I went through it, and I looked for where Prabhupada made a shift. And he usually does that very dramatically. So I found, quickly just show, we have 3 here, and we'll see the next slide. And we have 4 here, okay? And they're marked, although your study guide varies in one case, I regrouped it later. Like I do these study guides to try to meet the printing deadline, but sometimes when I'm making slides, I'll make some subtle changes. But they're pretty close. So if you see an inconsistency, don't let it bother you too much. It sort of happens between time, place, circumstance, and adjustments. Okay, let's go back to the first slide. And we talked about that, we saw it. The first topic was Lord Krishna. He's God. Arjuna, he's the proper recipient. And 3, the Bhagavad-Gita, as it is the authoritative book. That's what Prabhupada establishes in 13 paragraphs. So when you go through, you can start numbering paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can circle the Bij word. And if you want to, I suggest you do that right now as we quickly go through the slides. We'll just go through and you just number your paragraphs and circle the word, okay? That way everybody can follow. We don't leave it to your chance. And then we can get up to the portion where we're going to speak a little bit more on each one, okay? All right, now this one, just look at the next topic. We'll just go over the topic slides. Then he talks from paragraph 14 to 27. This is deep. Right away, he gives you the most essential points of philosophy in the Bhagavad-Gita, that there are 5 truths. 4 of them are eternal, and 1 is temporary. And it can be changed. That's karma. All right? So that's the second topic. In the next section, he verifies the authoritativeness of Vedic literature. Why should we believe the Vedas? Why should we believe any Vedic literature? So from sloka number 28 to 32, Vedic knowledge. And you'll find that in the Upanishads too. At the beginning, Prabhupada gives an introduction, and he verifies the, you cannot challenge Vedic knowledge. It has to be accepted. It's not a matter of research. Okay, everybody got that section? So we'll be, as I say, as we go through, you can circle the words. But now you know the blocks. These are the main breaks in this book. Because if somebody questions you, well, why Vedic knowledge and not this book and that book? Why? Well, okay, here, let's go to this section right away and I'll show you. Or in your book, you can find the answers here. Okay? Or if you're doing a study group or a preaching group, and you have intelligent people, they're not challenging, but they want to know. They don't want to be blind followers. Then he has to know who we are. Right now, we don't know who we are. I don't know that there may be somebody here who has attained Swarup Siddhi, perhaps. But we're probably all in the same grade. Usually people are grouped according to their level of realization, from animal all the way up to a Paramahamsa. So we are here trying to find out who we are. Right now we have a temporary identity that is mistaken, and we know that, but we still don't know. We know what we are not, but we do not know what we are. We know we're spirit souls. We know our business is to be eternal, our eternal servants of Krishna. But to know your spiritual name, your form, your dress, all that, very elevated stage of revealed. It's revelation, not research. So that is to be done. Sanatan Dharma. What is my Sanatan Dharma? So Prabhupada addresses that section, and we go from 33 to 41. Now the next thing, he pushes us further. Well, if I'm supposed to be there, what's it like? Like if you have to travel to a country you've never visited before, we want to know, is the weather different? What is the custom? What foods are there? What do I eat? You know, what do I do? What's it like? So now Prabhupada describes the place that you have to try to aim for. What's the spiritual sky like? It's not like this. It's not asat, achit, not nanananda, right? Nirananda. It's not those things. It's the opposite. So you have to understand that and hear about it. So it's described, now here I changed the numbers. I went from 42 to 50, I think, on that one. 51, maybe the numbers are 51. Okay, and next, from 51 to 66. How do I get there? You tell me I got to go there by train, by airplane, by boat. How do I get there? By remembering Krishna at death. That's how I get there. Well, where does it say that? So most of the slokas, or most of the paragraphs in here, are quoting the verses from Shastra. They're quoting Shastra. Do you see how the whole thing's progressive? Yeah, the argument, okay, I'm supposed to go there, how do I get there? By just praying, Krishna, please take me at death? That's nice. Nice prayer. Take a little work, doesn't it? I remember him at death. Him alone, one-pointedly, at death. That's why we're all sitting here. When our time's up and the authorities decide where we go, it will be on the basis of what we've been doing, not of what we wish we were doing, or should have been doing, or hope to have been doing, is what we did. It's up to us. Can't blame anybody else. I can't blame anybody for the kind of body I have, the kind of suffering I go through. I cannot blame. And the minute I do, I realize, wait a minute. I'm responsible. I'm responsible for what I am, and I'm responsible for what I'm going to be. And I'm responsible for where I'm going to go. I can't blame anybody. Not possible. So you're all serious people. You wouldn't be sitting here listening to me say this. That's how we remember Krishna. That's how we get there. Serious business. Next, the Gita Mahatmya. He wraps it up because he's using mostly prayers in that section of remembrance to verify the scriptures tell us that's how you get to the spiritual world. You can't crash the gates. I think that it's prescribed in the Brahma Samhita. It's surrounded, right, by guards, 10 directions. Try to get in. It's like trying to get past the FRO, right? You try to go to another country, it's not easy, is it? Visa requirements and this and that and passports and you know, this business about going to the moon. You're trying to go to higher planetary systems by mechanical devices. That's coming up. They're not possible. You're crashing the gates. You won't get in. It's so absurd. It's all a hoax anyway. Everybody knows that. It's just to get more money out of the people, to divert them from their real problems. Oh, you're hungry? Let's send somebody to the moon and you'll forget about your stomach. You know, that's all they do. There's no, that's all they do. Let's have a war. You'll forget about how bad it is here, right? So that's what happens. So then in the Gita Mahatmya, you see Lord Shiva is telling his wife the glories of hearing Bhagavad-Gita. So we'll read those 7 together today, okay? So let's go through our little book now, and let's go back and circle some words. Shall we have fun with that? All right? That way we do a review, and that way I'm sure everybody who's here had a chance to follow in the book. Okay, ready? Now, let's go through our slides. Go back to our slides. You got the 7 topics, and you see how they develop? From this book is important, Krishna's God. Arjuna's the perfect example. I should have his qualities to be a proper recipient. So we start now with slide number 1, and you've done that one already. Go back to the beginning. Okay, very beginning. Okay, slide number 1. That was paragraph 1. You've done that, right? Okay, go to paragraph number 2. And the Bhagavad-Gita should be taken or accepted as directed by the speaker, but look for the word supreme. And circle the word supreme and put a number 2. Put a number 2 in there really fast. We won't do all of them, but we want to get you in the mood of what we're doing. Okay, everybody find a second paragraph? It's quite lengthy. Supreme, all right? All right? Now, let's go to the third paragraph. We'll go, keep up as you can. Sisiplik. Look for that word and put a 3 next to the margin. And you can go, what you can do is I put a balloon and then a line connecting the balloons. Disciplic is my third trigger word. Why is this book different? It's coming down in the parampara. The other books are not. Remember, you're trying to become convincing preachers. It's coming down through this disciplic succession. This is the yoga system. Yoga means I link, not I make it up. They've got yoga classes now where they drink alcohol. I've read it. They go in without any clothing on. They've just created whatever yoga is. They make up their own version. This is not yoga. Yoga means I link with God by a specific process. I've read these things on. It's just absurd what goes on in the name of religiosity. Next, number 4. Krishna speaks to his devotee. They have a relationship. You have to be a devotee. You cannot understand Bhagavad-Gita if you're not a devotee. Number 4. Did you all find the word? Yeah, find it. You'll see yourself. Those of you I see who are active, you're doing it, you'll get the benefit. And you'll actually get into doing this. Because it's the key. It's the key to your success, and it's the key to helping others be successful. Let's face it, we're blessed. We're fortunate. Do you want to be selfish about it? No. You have to, we've got to help other people. And that's what gets the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. That's what gets his mercy. People say to me, oh, bless me, bless me. I said, look, just do what Prabhupada said. I have no place, just do what he said. The blessings are coming from a higher level. All right, number 5. You have to tell these people that they have their own relationship with Krishna already. Everybody does, whether he knows it or not. Number 5, that's the key. You have to tell, hey, look, you have an eternal relationship with God in one of 5 mellows. Don't you want to know what it is? Don't you want to know who you are? You're not these changing bodies that are pathetic, and at the end they are finished. They're changing them like changing clothes. No. Who are you? This book will help you find out. Okay? Number 6. Arjuna, how does he receive Bhagavad-Gita? And Prabhupada writes, how he accepts the Bhagavad-Gita should be noted. Acceptance. Yeah, you're right. I accept. You've convinced me up to this point. At every step of the way, Prabhupada convinces you to take another step. All right? Now take another step. Now, are you convinced? Okay, now take another step. You cannot take a step without being convinced that the one you're on is safe. Like the caterpillar. 1, 2, 3. He has to be convinced. All right, number 7. He accepts, how does he accept Krishna? As the Param Brahma. Param. We're all Brahma. We're all spirit. Actually, everything is spirit in the final analysis. But who's the supreme spirit? Who's that? Krishna. Param. He's different. Yes. We're particles. But he's supreme. Param. And there he is. So beautiful. I mean, look at our pictures. We have such a wealth. Our paintings. I go online and I'll see other paintings. And I go back to ISKCON paintings. I can't. That's my appreciation of Krishna. So beautiful. Isn't that a beautiful painting, huh? Next, number 8. Well, how do you prove it? All of the great acharyas say so. Not just you, Arjuna. The Acharya, and Krishna's also saying that. Yeah, I'm telling you also. Did you all find that word? You able to follow along? If you can keep up, it's good for you. Some are very active students, I can see. They're marking the books. Some may not have them. All right? Number 9. And again, unless one reads the Gita, in what kind of a mood? You have to tell the person, look, if you have a challenging mood, you're not going to get much help. You're going to put people on the defensive. If you go into a group and you start challenging the speaker, you have finished yourself off. You have no hope. If you go into a classroom and say to the teacher, how come you're teaching this math class? I mean, come on. Show some respect. Prabhupada says you should at least theoretically accept Krishna as God and have a respectful attitude. Disrespect gets no one anywhere. It doesn't work. If I'm disrespectful, people will shut down. And Krishna will too. He won't help you. All right, next. What's the purpose of this whole Bhagavad-Gita? It's just another book on the bookshelf to burn, make paper, take up space, deliver mankind from the tigress of nescience. This is the lifeline. Get you out of the material whirlpool. This is not a minor book. It's been given to us to get us out. It's like if you're drowning, somebody throws you a lifesaver, you're going to grab it if you're smart. Next, on 11. What kind of a person qualifies to be a human being? He inquires into the nature of his suffering. He knows he's suffering. He's intelligent enough to figure that out. He wants to end it, and he wants to know how. He wants to know why he's got the present body and which one he's going to get when he dies. That's a human being. Otherwise, according to scriptures, it's an animal in the form of a human. Isn't that a scary definition? It's an animal shaped like a human. Just look around the world. You can see it. Terrifying things people will do to each other. Beyond words, beyond belief. He has to come to the level of humanity. So you tell people, look, do you want to live your life in a human form as an animal? Or do you want to live your life in a human form as a human? Or do you want to live your life in a human form as a godly person? This book will help you become a godly person. Because you have 3 choices: animal, human, that means I just follow civil law, or godly, I follow God's law. You have 3 choices. I can be an animal, I can be a proper human, or I can be godly. Okay, that's your choice. Next. Krishna also comes to give people an idea of what the purpose of life is. The purpose of life is to reestablish their eternal relationship. And this book will help you do that. Prabhupada's selling you this book. He is selling you this book, Bhagavad-Gita. It's the perfect advertisement, if you want to put it in everyday vernacular. It's an advertising book. Perfect. But it's scholarly. It's elevated. It's not just hard sell, cheap, that's a lie. It's the truth. Next, the last one. Well, why is Arjuna candidate? He's in doubt. How can he answer my problems? He's not in doubt. He's purposely put into doubt to ask Krishna the questions that we need to have answered. We need to know that. Krishna is not just going to march around and tell somebody, hey, I'm God, do as I say. That won't work. You have to be convinced by logic and reason. A wise person has to be convinced by logic, by reason. Then he will listen. And that's the better candidate. The blind follower, forget it. He'll be a fanatic, and he can be more harm than good. But by logic and reason. So he has to be invited to speak. So Arjuna is placed in that position. And you can follow and circle these words as we quickly go through. Okay, next. Now the 5 truths. This is very deep. He hits it right away. What are the 5 truths? Krishna, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kal, Karma, the wheel of karma. Action, reaction, birth, death, birth, death, birth. Those are the 5 truths. What are they? Krishna, Jiva, yeah, the 3 modes, Prakriti, time, and karma, the wheel of karma. Wheel of karma. Okay. 5, right. Karma. Yeah, that's the 4th one. That can be 5th one. That can be changed. That's why we're here. That wheel has to be. You have to get off the wheel. A wheel keeps spinning, right? And you're trapped. You went off. Okay. Okay. The subject entails comprehension. Do you see that word? Comprehension of these 5 truths. Okay. Next. First point. What is Krishna? He's the greatest in every aspect. He's the greatest. That's number 15 point. Now we're doing this so you know where to direct people and yourself. If you want to know the philosophy, if you want an argument, you take this little book and you do this. You'll be empowered. Will you not? Such a simple thing. It's all in one package. And it's a handy package. He's the greatest of all. And Prabhupada uses words, whatever you want to call him. Krishna, according to your level, Brahman, Paramatma. He said, any name you choose, he's the greatest of all. Next, Prakriti. Now he asks, what is Prakriti? Number 15. Well, there are 2 kinds. Inferior, superior. But both of them are under Krishna's control. I'm really happy today. People are really getting active. They're circling. Because you're making yourself a scholar right now. It's not that hard, not that I am, but if you actually just take advantage of what we've been given in a practical, logical way, you'll become amazingly equipped. You'll see devotees know so much more than other people. They don't have this advantage. We have it. You just have to tap into the gold mine, that's all. Inferior, superior. We are of the superior nature. We're eternal. But we're controlled. We're Prakriti. And when we try to be Purush, we're thrown into the inferior nature to suffer. That's what happened. Because we're marginal. So we can attach to the superior energy or the inferior. And those of us who took material bodies, we made that mistake. So now we're trying to correct a mistake. It's not an easy one to do. Very difficult to climb out of the mess. Number 16. That was 16. Now the other items were what? Nature? Time? Karma. The wheel. The wheel. And these activities are called karma. So you see the hierarchy? There's karma down there, activities. Directed by Prakriti. Under the control of Krishna. Okay. Next. But you can do what? You can change. Paragraph 18. Paragraph 18. I can change this. I'm not stuck forever. I'm not eternally damned. Because some religions will tell you that. At death, you either go to heaven or you go to hell. No choice. It's too late. There's no in between. No, the Vedas don't tell you that. The Vedas will not tell you that. Even in the hells, the hellish planets, we've all been all up and down the whole planetary system. We've been Brahma. We've been down in Patala Loka. We've been up and down. We've been around and around. Hopefully we're exhausted enough to say enough. I'm finished. But this depends on the perfection of our what? Knowledge. That's why we're here. The perfection of our knowledge. We can change. Circle the word change. You have to tell people, look, you can change your life. You can change your life. Next, 19. Why do I have a chance? Because I have consciousness. If I'm the superior Prakriti, I have consciousness that's similar to Krishna's. Not equal, not better, and never equal. Mayavadi will say in the future, no, 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 no. Never would you be equal. I can change. Because my consciousness is like Krishna's. I'm a particle of him. I have consciousness. That's eternal. That's eternal. I can change it, but I have to have knowledge. And that's why we're here. We're trying to acquire the knowledge to know what to do. Otherwise, a person will not know how to act in this world. He's not acting in his self-interest. Next, 19. That was 20. And what mode do I have to come up to? Mode of goodness. That's the 4 regulative principles. I don't eat meat. I don't take intoxication. I don't deal in illicit sex. I don't gamble. That's the beginning of human life. That's human. Anything less than that is animal, folks. This is mode of goodness. And this is not the perfected stage. This is the springboard. So at least people have to start somewhere. So they start there. Most religions will tell you that, right? Thou shalt not kill, don't covet thy neighbor's property, don't commit adultery. That's in the books, but people don't believe the books. They don't believe their own religions, what to speak of this one. And I've been told, too, that people probably can't follow the regular principles unless they're chanting Hare Krishna. They say it's almost impossible. Have you heard that also? That without chanting the mantra, you probably can't follow. That's why it's so important to chant the mantra. Because that gives you the strength to do that. And you're getting help. Otherwise, on your own, material energy will push you down. It's meant to do that, push you down, keep you down. Next, 21. We have to purify our activities. We're already acting. We will act. We have to act. We have to eat, we have to cook, we have to work. But those have to be done in a purified consciousness. Purify is your word. That has to change. It's not the activity is stopped. It goes to a higher level of execution. The consciousness changes. Consciousness is 21. And how will that be purified? By dovetailing our desires with the will of the Lord. If I go against an authority, I'm in trouble. Who could be a bigger authority to counter than God? I mean, we really did it big time. You know, you may want to counter your school teacher, or you may want to challenge your mommy, but to challenge God, that's going to the limit, right? We did it. Who could? You're challenging the biggest authority. But you won't be happy. The only way to be happy is to make your will the will of the Lord. Prabhupada said we want to become yes men, not no men. No means no, I'm not going to do it. Yes means yes, Krishna, I want to do it. Not you're making me do it. You're not making, I want to make you happy. I want to please you, Krishna. I don't want to challenge you anymore. 22, the word, is liberated. If you want to be liberated, if you really want to be liberated, you know what you have to give up? Not sweets. Not your favorite sorry. No. You have to give up the idea that you're this body. Now, we're not all past that one, right? We're still in the somewhat stage of covering. I'm not this body. That's liberation. That's the liberated state. I'm not this body. I'm Brahma Buddha. That's liberation. In the present age, people don't worry about dharma. They don't worry about liberation. They just want artha and kama. They want material gain and they want sense enjoyment. But they had to get it through dharma. They don't believe that. And forget liberation. I'm happy here. That's current society, even in India. Even in India. Okay, 22, that was 23. Contaminated. Now you have to convince the person you're preaching to that the consciousness is contaminated if he believes this. I'm the Lord, and I'm the enjoyer. That's the symptom of the disease. I'm the Lord, and I'm the enjoyer. That's demoniac. That's demoniac. That's demoniac. That's not godly. That is a and that's what everybody running around the world thinks, and that's why there's no peace in the world. Because as long as a person thinks, I'm the Lord, who are you? Why are you telling me what to do? Nobody wants to accept authority. Try it, especially in Kali Yuga. I'm the enjoyer. I can do as I like, and I don't care what effect it has on anybody else. As long as I'm happy, if it makes you feel good, do it. That's the mood. That's contaminated consciousness, and it creates hell for everybody. 24. What's the word? Now, this is very Ishopanishadic. Complete. Krishna is complete in every way. And any incompleteness, this is from the Ishopanishads, any incompleteness, Om Purnam Adapurn, any incompleteness we feel is because we lack a complete understanding of the complete whole. We are complete units. That first verse, Om Purnam, brilliant. We are complete universes in ourselves. Krishna is the complete of everything. He constitutes complete everything. Okay? He's the absolute truth, and that complete person is Krishna. 25. He is Satchidananda Vigraha. He is a form of Satchidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form, not formless. He's a form. Now we're going to move really fast now. We may not be able to give you time to circle, but let's just watch, because we're watching the clock. 26, and he is what? If you're good, you can try to circle. He's a person. He's a person. He's a transcendental person. And this is what? Confirmed in all Vedic literature. Not just, come on, anybody that's saying he's not a person, they're not following the Vedic literature. They're creating their own myth. 27. And we are fortunate to be given facility to understand the complete whole. Who gave us these books? Who has given us this knowledge? Krishna and his direct confidential servitor, Srila Prabhupada. We are be giving facility to understand the complete whole. We will never understand him completely. Even Krishna cannot understand himself completely. But we can come to the level of understanding him enough to end our mistaken identities. 28. Now we go into why Vedic knowledge is authoritative. Why? The person's going to ask, why this? Okay, now, text number 28. It is infallible. That's your word, your trigger word. Now you should find, again, you've got your text, but now you have the advantage to see the pictures. Because the picture, I don't know about you, I tend to be an artist by my karmic situation. Pictures help me a lot. If I can remember a picture really easily. And most people find the same is true. You have a picture of something and then it comes to mind very quickly. So that's why we go to the trouble to make these slides for you, So yes, I saw the picture. Yes, there it is. There's the Sanskrit, the Vedic knowledge, right? It's above mistake. It's not written by people who are fallible. We have the 4 defects. It's coming from Krishna. The Vedas come from Krishna. Vedic knowledge comes from Krishna. It's above mistake. That's why you have to accept it. Is there anybody here who doesn't make mistakes? Not possible. Anybody who has perfect senses? Yeah, get out your eyeglasses. Come on. Pull out your hearing aid, you know? Okay, number 29. And it is perfect. Gita is perfect because it's the essence of Vedic knowledge. And it's coming from the Lord himself. There he is speaking it to Vivishvan. I mean, you can't go higher than God. That's it. That's it. And if you don't accept him, well, then you're back to 0. Okay? Next. 30. He owns everything. You should be intelligent enough to know that. He is who? The what? He's the proprietor. He is the proprietor of everything. If you know that, you'll be peaceful. That's the peace formula. The minute you think you're the proprietor, guess what's going to happen? You're not peaceful. Oh, that's my house. Somebody's trying to tear it down. Oh, that's my pen drive. Someone just took it. That's my money. I'm not giving it to Krishna. Guess what? You won't be peaceful. Nobody out there is peaceful. Go to the UN. They're fighting with each other all the time. Prabhupada said all they've done is create more flags. You know, the UN for peace. Not possible. It won't work. India against this country, that country against this country. They'll never be peaceful because they don't know this. They're not proprietors. They're thieves. Is a thief peaceful? Why does he go at night?
Stealing.
Yeah. He's not peaceful. 31, your key word. Utilize. The scriptures will tell you how to utilize your quota properly. Hey, yes. You're not the proprietor, but you're given a quota. And if you outstep it, you violate your quota. I mean, just try it sometimes. Eat too many pakoras. What happens? You get sick. Try to accumulate more than you can take care of. I've been in that position all my life. I can't keep up with the dusting. You know, you take your quota, you're happy. You take more, you're miserable. And here we have Ambarish. In the scriptures, we have our own example, Ambarish. He's a rich, rich man, but he's giving his money to Krishna. He knows how to utilize it. Ambarish used everything in the service of the Lord. 32, the key word. Be a human being. Let's start with that. Refuse to be an animal. Don't just say, oh God, you mean I can't do this? You mean I can't do that? No. Say, I refuse to descend to the animal platform. That should be your spirit. I refuse to be less than a human being. 33, we go into the Sanatana Dharma. Now what's my duty to the Godhead? If I'm part of God, I have a duty to the Godhead. What is my duty to the Godhead? And that is my eternal occupation. And what's the whole Bhagavad-Gita? To revive our Sanatana occupation. It's not that I'm a barber or I'm a PhD professor or I'm a farmer or I'm a Vaishya in the marketplace or I'm a temple commander. Those are temporary obligations, temporary. But what's my eternal obligation to God? That's my Sanatana Dharma. And the Bhagavad-Gita is here to get us to that one. No more changing ones. These are all changing. One day you're brahmachari, then a few years later, then you become grihastha, then avana. Those are changing. No, no, no. They're based on a changing body. Your eternal one. What's your eternal duty to the Godhead? Next, 34. And he's your father. If you want to do a tree, an ancestral tree, you have to go all the way back to Krishna. It has to go back to somewhere. It goes back to him. And the person next, so we all have the same father. Spiritually, we're brothers and sisters. Right? We're brothers and sisters. And who wants to fight with a brother or a sister if he's intelligent? That's not what you really do. Some people do. That's really animal life, right? 35, the key word. Eternal. I'm eternal. Krishna's eternal. My relationship is eternal. My occupation is eternal. That's my trigger word. Eternal. I see some people, they're being really good. They're circling everything. Okay? 36 paragraph. Sanatana Dharma is not sectarian. Sectarian means it's limited by time and space. Sanatana Dharma is not sectarian. If people say, I'm Hindu, and that's sectarian. If they say, I believe in Christianity, that is sectarian. Because they are limited by time and place. Boundaries. No, 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 no. Sanatana Dharma is not limited. It's eternal. Important point. This is one of the most important points in the whole Bhagavad-Gita. This helps you defeat the argument, why this religion and not mine? This one. This one. Number 36. 37. And what is that? Dharma. What is constant about you? Servitorship. Whether you're Hindu, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're a mother, whether you're a father, you serve. That is eternal. The aspect of servitorship is eternal. That is your eternal occupation. That is your, but servitorship to whom? Ultimately, to the Lord. That is your eternal occupation. That is your eternal religion. Faith is not necessarily religion. Faith can be changed. Today I have faith in this, tomorrow I have faith in that. Dharma cannot change. Water cannot be water if it's not liquid. A living entity cannot be a living entity if he's not a servitor. It's inherent. 38, the key word is service. And how does that manifest? It's the constant companion. Everybody has to serve. 39, we're going to go really fast now. These designations, all of them, and there are hundreds, they multiply. They are non-Sanatana Dharma. They are not Sanatana Dharma. So a person cannot say, I'm a Christian, that's my Sanatana Dharma. No, 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 no. That's incorrect. You have to point that out. Here's in the book. Man professes. But these are particular time and circumstance. That's not eternal. It's not eternal. 40. You want to be happy? Who doesn't want to be happy? You want people who say, I want to be miserable? Well, there are people like that. They're called sadists, masochists. But they're not normal. Everybody wants to be happy. Well, how do you be happy? Service to the Lord. You cannot be happy otherwise. Impossible. So if somebody's telling you he's happy and he's not performing service to the Lord, he's mistaken at best. Or he's lying, or pretending, or so covered over he doesn't know the difference. They say the only two happy people in the world are the Paramahamsa and the fool. Everybody else is suffering. Okay, 41. And what does the word Krishna mean? Highest pleasure. So everybody wants pleasure? What kind? Low grade? Middle grade? High grade. What kind? Highest grade. Highest grade. 42. Now we're going to go to where we want to go. And we got 5 minutes to go to the spiritual sky really fast. Here we go. What's it like? Vrindavan. How fortunate we are. Where are we sitting? Yes, this is the replica. Don't think you're not lucky. Are we lucky, Dave and Anapanda? We're lucky. Yes, it's full of what? Happiness. Happiness. Now, even if you're going through purification in Vrindavan, have you noticed you still don't want to leave? Isn't it true?
Testing ground. Vrindavan is a testing ground.
You know, it's like, it's amazing. I mean, I go through so much purification here. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you what I go through. But still, the thought if I weren't in Vrindavan, it's just to me horrifying. It's terrifying, isn't it? 43, the spiritual abode. What's it like? Well, guess what, folks? You don't need an electric light. You don't need a generator. You don't need to pay for your light bill. You don't need to worry about a torch when it's at night and you dropped your keys somewhere on the floor. It's wonderful. The planets are floating in the Brahmajyoti. They're illuminated, glowing. That's wonderful. Yeah. And you don't come back. Okay, number 44. And this is called the best one, the topmost original planet. What's it called? Goloka. Yeah, we're getting descriptions closer now. We're finding out more and more about it. Now, those of you who are sitting here now know this, but I don't know. I was born in the West. I didn't know what the word Goloka. I never heard the word Goloka. I never knew that word. I never knew the word Vrindavan, Krishna. I didn't know those words. Now, some of you in India, you might have heard those words. But believe me, even if you come to Krishna consciousness, you know a lot more, don't you? You know a lot more. 45, what's your trigger word? That spiritual sky. He doesn't have to come back. If you go up into the material sky, what happens? You got to land the airplane again, right? You can go up in the air, but you have to come back down. But if you go to the spiritual sky, do you have to come back down? No. That sounds nice. I don't have to deal with a visa anymore. I don't have to deal with a ticket anymore. I don't have to deal with this mess anymore. How about 46? What's going to be like? Well, in the material world, I can go to another planet. What's the secret? Probably, I don't need a space shuttle. I don't have to spend trillions of dollars on something that didn't work or exploded in the air and all the astronauts died. I don't need that. I just need to know the Deva and I worship. I can go there. I don't need... But Prabhupada said the Gita doesn't advise doing that because you just come back. You come back. You're still in the material world. Don't try for that. Don't try for Vranta. Don't try for Yanti Deva, Vrata Deva. Don't try for that. 47. Yeah, and when you go to the spiritual what? Guess what? That you don't have inconvenience. Yeah, we have to go a little faster. Later, yeah. For Yanti Deva, that's by mechanical means. That's in the Bhagavad-Gita. I just have to worship the Deva. That's my Yanti. That's the process. 47. No inconveniences in the spiritual world. No birth, no old age, no death. That sounds like a good bargain. 47, 48. Perfect reflection. This material world is a reflection, upside down. 49. How do I get out of it? I have to be what? Detached. You have attachment, you have to stay. Detachment. 50. The spiritual world, it's unmanifest. It's avekta. We can't even see everything in the material world. So how are we going to know unless we trust the scriptures? It's not manifest to us. It's revealed, revelation. Right now we know of it. But we don't know actually personally what it's like yet. 51. Now, how do we get there? And we're getting ready now. What do I have to do? Remember Krishna all the time, so that I can remember him when I what? When I die. Yes. One must remember the form of Krishna. When he quits his body, he will surely approach the what? Spiritual kingdom. This is the formula. You got to tell people this is how you do it, folks. If you want to follow the medicine, this is the prescription. 52. This life is the preparation. This life is not to be taken cheaply. The human life is a rare gift. It's the only loophole out. If you have a mesh and it's all meshed and you're entrapped, but there's a little hole, you'll go for it, right? Oh, I can get out through this hole. But if you say, oh, I don't want to bother, I try later, or no, I don't want to get out, or whatever ridiculous reason you have the loophole. This is it. 53. And you have to be like Arjuna. Yes, Krishna, I believe what you tell me. I don't doubt that if I die and I remember you, I won't go to you. You have to have faith in those words. And Krishna says, you should not doubt this. This is to be certain. It's taken. It's in the Bhagavad-Gita. As all I've said, Arjuna, yeah, I believe you. I believe you. 54. Whatever state of being. Now he's quoting Shastra. He's quoting Gita. Whatever state I remember. I don't remember my deer, my puppy dog, my Aunt Lily. Whatever. That's what I get. So who do we want to remember? Krishna. 55. And I have energies, two kind, material, spiritual. Now this is the argument for what you're doing. My mind is absorbed in the material energy because I read books, I see billboards, everything I see is material. How do I get out of that? How do I do it? Number 56. Our thinking must be transferred to the Vedic literature. There it is. People will say, well, why do I have to read the Bhagavad-Gita? Come on. I don't have time. If you're not thinking about the Bhagavad-Gita, what are you thinking about? Everything else is around you to get you to think about the material inferior energy. This is what you have to, Prabhupada said, our thinking must be transferred, and we've been given so many Vedic literatures. That's why you need to read these books, because your thinking has to be transferred to something spiritual. These books are spiritual. This book is not just a book. Everybody figured that one out? You just touch that book. You get people to just touch the book. You tell them, just touch the book. Just touch the book. They're making benefit. Just touch the book. 57, the key word. Vyasadeva has gone to so much trouble. So it's possible for us to remember the Lord at the time of death. That's a pretty big task. 58. Your activities and your mind and everything fixed on me, you will attain me without a doubt. The word is your activities. Don't just try to sit down and think of Krishna. Think of Krishna. Okay, think of Krishna. No, Arjuna, fight. But at the same time, no, he says first, think of me, but at the same time, fight. He said, because if during your life you're doing your activities and you're not thinking about Krishna, at death, you're going to think about your body. You won't think of Krishna. You have to be practiced. That's why you have to do your activities second, but Krishna first. Not activities first, and then maybe I'll think of Krishna. No. It won't work. Because death is pretty heavy from what we hear in the scriptures. Equivalent to 40,000 scorpion bites, and temperature's 110, and whew, choking, mucus comes into the throat. Not a pleasant experience. Chanting is what Lord Chaitanya recommends. Constant chanting. And that's the same instruction Krishna is giving us. Prabhupada points that out. His instruction is the same. That helps the mind focus. Chanting, 59. 60. Love. If you love somebody, you remember them easily. Easily. That strong sense of love has to be developed. And love is developed by service. Have you ever found if you do something for someone, you start to like them a little more? Have you found that? If somebody asks you to do something, and then it's surprising. Service breeds affection. And then suddenly you like that person. It's a weird thing. You think, oh, no, I have to do something. No, no, no. If it's genuine, you get a feeling of affection. Love by service. Next. And you're united with me. That's the highest yoga form. Not being a pretzel, an acrobat in the yoga centers. No, that's not yoga. It's one aspect, but just think of me. That's the highest yogi. 62? 70. Absorb. Become absorbed. Absorption. And that will transfer me to the spiritual world. Absorption. 63. We're going to move very fast. Hearing. That's the easiest process. Everybody can hear. Well, unless you have a hearing problem. And that's the easiest way. Hearing the scriptures, hearing from the recognized authority in the parampara, not from some rascals. That'll be detrimental. 64. Meditating on. Now he's quoting slokas right and left. He who meditates on me, he's sure to reach me. Meditating on me. Absorption, meditation, hearing about me, reading about me hearing about Krishna. All these are we're trying to get to the spiritual world. We can't do it by machine. 65. And everyone qualifies. Everyone qualifies because everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. That's 65. The doors are open. And here's Kunti. Perfect example. I'm a woman. I'm less intelligent. Some of the women have been actually shown to be very sincere devotees. Hardworking, enthusiastic. Because they're spirit souls. The body is temporary. Woman this body, next life it could be man. Man this body, next life it could be woman. Human this life, next life it could be dog. You don't know. But it's open for everyone. 66. If one adopts the Bhagavad-Gita's principles, he will have a permanent solution to all the problems of life. That's a good argument. You can see the arguments in this book. You want to buy the Bhagavad-Gita, look what it's going to do for you. It's going to do a lot more for you than the motorcycle ads or the toothpaste ads. You look at it in the newspaper and you can see they're making it up. They can't do anything they promise. 66, now Gita Mahamya. And very quickly, 67. In conclusion, the Bhagavad Gita should be read very carefully. Carefully. And if you do, go back to Godhead. 68. If you read it, you stop what? Reactions to sinful action. Here you have the tree of karma. We're bound by the roots. Those replanted seeds, and those seeds fructify, and you have to reap the fruit. The grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon. You show that to people. I've had people who were attuned to this, and they say it helps them sell the Bhagavad Gita. You take them right to that section, the Gita Mahatmya, and you point out those verses. 69. The Lord will take personal responsibility for one who surrenders to him. And there he is, picking up the wheel. Arjuna's even trying to stop him. He broke his promise for his devotee. I'm not going to fight in this war. But he picks up the wheel. He takes responsibility for his surrendered soul. 70. If you go to the Ganges, you take a bath, you become clean. But if you take a bath in the Gita, much more powerful.
And
Yes.
how you take a bath in
Yes, the dirt of material life. Yeah, you get the dirt off your body in the Ganges and you get purified too. But that can take a long time. But the Gita, material life, vanquished. 71. Why this one book is so important. It's the essence. It will suffice. If you can't read any other book, just stick with this one. It's the one personal book the Lord spoke himself. And he says, there'll never be anyone more dear to me than tries to preach this to the devotees. So try it out. You want to be dear to God? Preach this book to the devotees. 62. The Bhagavad-Gita is nectar. It's the nectar of the Mahabharata. The Ganges is considered nectar, but the nectar of the Bhagavad-Gita, even more so. 73. And who should drink it? Learned scholars and pure devotees. That's a pretty high class of people. Learned scholars, pure devotees. There he is, Sanjaya. He says, wow, every time I hear this conversation, I'm thrilled. He said, oh, I'm bored. Oh, do we have to go to Gita class again? No. He's thrilled. I see the form of Krishna, and he said, it's a sense of wonder again and again. Look at Sanjaya. Talk about Bhav. He's past it. And 74, this is the end. In this present day, people are very much eager to have one scripture, one God, one religion, and one occupation, and we will end with Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have gone way past time. You have all earned your cookie. Thank you for coming. Vansha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhuva eva cha patitanam pavanibo vaisnavebhyo namo namaha. You have a very good cookie waiting for you as you go out. Keep your pamphlets, keep your books, return your pens kindly, return your exam boards. The ladies will serve you prasadam, and we thank